First focusing on one product called salt, because from your investigations or from your research, I realized that you've been following the trend. And you told me clearly that I think the trend has started going high from June and July.
Yeah.
Do we have some statistical data?
My name is Paul Karatunga. I'm the Supervisor of Enforcement Operations, Eastern Region. As far as salt is concerned, in the month of June, our teams, as they were enforcing, were able to intercept 3 tons. Now, in July, we managed to intercept 8 tons. It means it's somehow more than doubled. But does not mean that the salt that we intercept comes largely in trucks. It comes in small bits. You find someone has 2 cartons, 3 cartons, 5 cartons, and they keep coming through the porous points of the many borders we have. Now, the challenge is that when you find someone with 2-3 cartons or 1 carton, one would think it would be for personal use. You know, salt is an essential, and you would not anticipate it being for commercial purposes. But it's like the 2-3 when they keep on going, they kind of accumulate into the many that we are getting. So how we have been operating, we've been using like the human intelligence, we have been sharing human intelligence, then also doing routine patrols and doing also snap checks in shops. And that's how we ended up getting those quantities. 8 tons for July and 3 tons for June. They are not so much to alarm us, because we know with our enforcement measures like intelligence sharing and gathering, then also sensitizing our clients. We're going to embark on sensitization of our clients, informing them the costs of smuggling such. Because I will give you an example, like the salt that we intercept. If you calculate the taxes and the equivalent, if we intercept you are at a risk of losing more money than buying from a genuine importer. So in the long run, you find you will not even break even. Now, if I give you an example, a kilo of salt is valued at about $0.5 per kilogram. Now, if you subject it to taxes, that is VAT 18%. Now, for those who are not exempted from withholding, we also subject it to 6%. Now, you'll find a kilo of salt pays about 446 shillings in taxes.
That's now the legal charges.
The taxes. But now, if you go through ungazetted the points, or you bring it illegitimately, we shall add a 50% fine, because this,
if you smuggle it and they cut you.
Exactly, we add the 50% of the value of the salt. Now it would mean another 930 shillings added on. So a kilo which would have cost you about 446 will end up costing you 1,377. That is 3 times more. It costs you 3 times more if you smuggle it. So ideally, this practice of smuggling is not profitable. It is counterproductive, because it will frustrate your business, and also if we don't take it, can also affect our economy. But we cannot allow that to happen. That's why, as enforcement, we are around, and then also the borders are here to clear whatever comes in legitimately.
So now, how much money have you collected from June to July out of penalties?
Penalties so far from the salt we have got, that is the 3 tons and the 8, that is 11 tons. We've collected 16 million. 16 million from taxes in June and July. But ideally, we should not look at the figure. Okay, it is a small figure, because also the problem is not such a magnitude as it may be amplified. But I wanted someone to understand it from a layman's language. If those 11 tons had cleared normally, they would have paid not more than 5 million.
Now they are in 16 million.
16 million. So to a business person, they should desist from buying from anyone who could have not cleared legitimately here. And how do you know that someone has cleared legitimately? They will always have copies of their declarations that they have made, like at Mombasa, because it is cleared under single customs territory. They will have those exit notes that they present at the border when they are coming. So whoever can't present that would advise our small retailers and other small business proprietors not to transact with them, because they will lose. We shall come. We say, whom did you buy from? If it is, say, maybe a client like Glory or Capi, the system is clear. When we punch in their tin, we will see their transaction. But if you don't have another client, or you give us a wrong client, when you put in the tin in our system, it will not bring, and we put the HS code of salt, it will not bring any transaction. Then it eases our work. We just pick the product from your shop, and it becomes costly for the business.
Mr. Karatunga, when you arrest this person with illegal product, and he has paid a surcharge 50%, do you give these ones back to the client, or where do you put them? If you have penalized me with my product, do you remain with it or you go with it?
When we manage offenses, two things happen. When someone has committed an offense, there are two things according to the law. The person can either be prosecuted, or the person can pay penalty. The person can be compounded. When you compound, that is computing the penalties and taxes. It is the equivalent of prosecuting that person. When you are allowed to compound and then you collect the taxes and fines, it means after settlement, the person recovers their product. But it comes at a cost. Like we said, the penalty, when it is included, it is 3 times the normal price a person should have paid if they cleared legitimately through the customs gazetted points. Normally, what we normally do, we partner with our agencies. Almost every border has UNBS around, and then there are also labels and markings of Kenya, like if it is for consumption in Kenya, and given the nature of our operations here, by the way, to let you know that we also do joint border surveillance. So if it was the Kenya Bureau of Standard worked on it, it is easier for us to get information, because, like, for example, here we have one-stop border posts. We share offices. We are not far away from each other. We always get guidance from each other. We have always shared information on our products, and all agencies of government across and here work in tandem. So normally when we have such products, it is also easier to get information from the government agencies, because we sit in the same in the same setup as per the OSBP arrangement.
That's what you told me. You also penalize the conveyor, the means of transport. Can we also have this a bit little more clear?
Yeah.
After you have penalized me for the product, do you go ahead and penalize the means of transport?
Yeah, the law allows for that.
Is that in the law, or is that on just
the law allows for that under section 199 of the East African Community Customs Management Act. And depending on the magnitude, we normally give penalties. The law provides for a fine not exceeding $10,000. Not exceeding $10,000. And these ones we issue on anything smuggled, not salt alone, but anything that is smuggled that has not paid its taxes, or taxes that are due are not paid, it applies. We normally invoke it here. The maximum penalty is 10,000. So of course you'll find you have means like bicycles, motorcycles, trucks and small vehicles. Their penalties will vary depending on the magnitude of the offense.
So how much would you, if you are merciful?
Now this law we apply it depending on your discretion. You might find an offender is a first-time offender. Now the maximum we give to hardcore repetitive offenders, we either give you a maximum of 10,000 or we send you for prosecution as a deterrent as a deterrent measure. So the bicycle we give varying fine because the law is not rigid.
They're only giving you maximum.
They are saying don't exceed $10,000. So
they are giving you maximum.
Yeah.
17th of July 2024, Okapi wrote a letter to the regional manager, Eastern, station manager, Busia Border, I'm sure he's the one, gentleman, and the Commissioner General. He seems to be complaining that, first of all, it is illegal, but then he says it is getting clearance at the border. Have you come across that?
I wouldn't say it is entirely true. First of all, we need to appreciate Okapi is one of our major importers of salt. If I can give you the statistics, Okapi in the month of June and July, Okapi managed to import 5,935 metric tons. Paid taxes of 3 billion.
Hey.
But is not the only player in the salt importation business.
Which year is this? Between June and July this year?
This year, June and July this year. It's not the only player in the importation business of salt, because also there's another one called Glory International Limited, who imported 25,532 metric tons. 25,532 metric tons, and Glory International Limited in those 2 months has paid 11 billion for the salt that he has imported, for the taxes of covering the salt. He has what? They have in the same period. So first of all, that means that is not the only key player in the business, because there's also another player in the same in the same business. But like also we said, already we have 11 tons in those 2 months intercepted. But how those 11 came in, they came in how the 11 came in, they came in small bits. Like we say, someone carries one, but from a porous route, carries 1, 2, which someone ideally would assume is for what? For home consumption.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Spy Uganda, the Spy Television. I'm in Busia Border. I've been talking to Comrade Edmond Rutebemberwa. Edmond Rutebemberwa is the supervisor of Busia Border, and I've also been talking and making an interview, a chat-up interview with Mr. Paul Karatunga. He is the supervisor in charge of Eastern. Eastern region consists of Malava, Busia, Amdat, Mbale, and Ruakaka. Hope that's correct. Enforcement. Supervisor enforcement. The issue has been the illegal, or magendo, what they call magendo, illegal trade in salt. So there has been a number of concerns that have been actually rising, and I thought that we needed to address this as well. We have been dealing with a number of issues here in terms of illegal entry here, and some of these issues have been addressed once the media actually picked them up, like cement and so on. We came here and reinforced, and the government and other stakeholders were able to actually use our information and deal with the voice. Now the voice that is coming from their own statistics is showing that between June and July, and now we're going into August, the illegal trade in this salt had actually risen. It was taking an up rise, and now that's why we are at the border here to see how we can carve down the trend. And like they have just explained, when you pass through the red channels, it is actually cheaper, because Mr. Paul has just told us, Karatunga, the salt pays about 440 something shillings, but once you are arrested with an illegal salt, you pay 1,600 something. I'm not so sure of the figures, but that is the rate. Just imagine the difference between 400 something and 1,000 something. I wrote it somewhere, but that's the rate. You pay 1,600 something when you are caught with salt. Yet, if you pass through the red channels, the tax is about 400 and something. So that is the information that I have got. My name is Andrew Rumba Katsabe, as usual, and this is the Spy Uganda and Detective UG.